Good Friday evening, everyone. This is Mitch. Hope you guys have been having a great day so far and a great start to your weekend. Sorry I'm getting to y'all a little bit later than I normally do. Had some Friday evening activities like a lot of people do on Fridays, but I wanted to make the video regardless, even if it is a little bit later, and really talk about what looks to be a very active weather week and next work week, again in the severe weather category of weather. And I'm really talking about Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, potentially even Thursday for severe weather. All hazards are on the table, but specifics just aren't there. So as you can tell, I don't have 1,000 tabs pulled up. We're going to talk about the basics, and then I'm going to let y'all carry on with the rest of your weekend. So if you guys got anything that I can pray about, please put it in the comments below. It gives me an opportunity to pray over it. Gives others an opportunity to do so too, and y'all can look out for one another. If you guys have not subscribed, consider doing that. I really appreciate the ongoing support. Like the video if you like it. And let's get rolling here. So, as you can tell, Storm Prediction Center. This is for Monday, a 15% risk of 25 miles in any given location in this yellow area. It's a 15% chance of severe weather. Think of this as a slight risk at day 4. So this will be for your Monday morning through Tuesday morning. This will be its own threat. What's going on, and I'll talk about a little bit here in a second on the next panel, is you basically have an upper trough that kind of drops down here in a stalled cold front, and a very weak low pressure develops, and this is able to pull some warm Gulf moisture and that moist air out the Gulf of Mexico here, and you start to get some winds out the southwestern in general, and then this continues and it evolves into the next day. You get into day 5, which is for your Tuesday morning into Wednesday morning, and then the threat evolves even more east, and same kind of setup. It has to do with the same system as this weak low pressure continues to track through the mid-south and Arkansas, Kentucky, places like that. This will continue to pull that moist air. Buoyancy will be there, so you will have some decent cape levels. In fact, this setup looks like it's going to have some pretty decent convective cape levels to deal with, so the juice is going to be there. One thing about day 5 for your Tuesday, and it even mentions it in the Storm Prediction Center discussion, is there's some questions on if the atmosphere is going to be able to destabilize. You're going to have plenty of cape that can potentially be there to build, but how much showers and storms do you have in the early morning hours to really keep the atmosphere stable? So we have to watch out for that also. And then kind of a whole nother system gets cranked up. That system moves on out, and then a deep upper trough pivots through here, and it moves basically through the Midwest region. It kind of comes out the upper Midwest, then into the Midwest, and then it pumps out kind of a different piece of energy that doesn't have anything to do with the last two pieces. So this could linger into Thursday, and that's the one that really has some differences between the models. I'm just going to show you the GFS in this specific video, but it really depends on where the severe weather is going to be, depends on where a low pressure is going to develop in this part of the country, and I'll show you all that here in a second here. But let's go on and keep moving. There is a threat, I really think, for day 7, but we're going to watch this. This will be for Thursday of next week. That's pretty far out, but you look at the heights and anomalies right here and see what's going on here. The blue is basically troughing, and the red is ridging. So what happens here as you're getting into your Monday, you have that mid to upper trough that moves into this region. And then you see this little buckle in the isobar right there. That is a low pressure trying to form, and there it is right there. That low pressure, it's very weak low pressure, forms along this probably stalled cold front right here. This pulls that moist air out the Gulf of Mexico. I know you're looking at this and you're probably thinking, well, this doesn't, it just looks like two colors to me for the eastern U.S., but just follow along and I'll try to explain it the best way I can. But it's a great way to look at what's going on here, especially in the winter. And then this moves on out, and that gets on out the region, and then we start to look for our Wednesday threat, and this is a big, deep upper trough, and this is actually the system. Big time upper trough with a low pressure associated with it. This is the system that's going to bring a late week frost to a lot of folks, even all the way down into the southeast. So that's why, I mentioned in last night's video, be careful planning stuff, because this is going to be a pretty deep digging trough right here that's going to cool us down just in time for next weekend. So I really think next weekend potentially could be quite chilly after our severe weather threat. But really, you can really check out the evolution of what's going on here. I'm starting this Monday morning, and you already have a lot of moist air. These are dew points. Dew points in the 60s and 70s are considered moist air, especially when you get into the 70s. That's that tropical air mass. So this is for Monday about midday, Monday evening. You have some high-level cape right here. You know, some areas over 2,000 joules per kilogram cape. That's getting into some a good bit of cape to work with to really add to the dynamics in place. So here's that low pressure forming. This is pulling winds genuinely out of the south, bringing in that moist air from the south. So you got dew points riding into the 60s all the way into Oklahoma. So obviously, like we've been mentioning in the last few weeks, if you've been watching, dew points into the 60s and 70s, that's that moist air that you need. So obviously that is something, that is a dynamic you need for the thermodynamics mixed in with the kinematics, and we'll talk about that here in a second, which is your wind energy. But as we get into Tuesday, that moist sector, very broad moist sector, very wide, I mean the entire south, it's not like you have a big time cold front dipping in just yet that stabilizes the atmosphere fully behind this. But you're getting into Tuesday, a lot of moist air in place, and that's when you have that day 5 risk right into here. So we got to really figure out what's going to happen here as you have that low pressure right here that's riding across the Ohio Valley. And then we start to scoot through, and then you have a moving air mass at this point with a strong cold front that's going to set the stage for probably a chilly eastern U.S. and central U.S. for this next weekend. I know it's pretty far out, but this has been showing up in the long range for a while now. It's starting to get into the medium range. And ahead of this is for Wednesday evening. This is getting into Wednesday afternoon, evening. You have a moving air mass, and ahead of it, you're probably going to have a surge in moisture all the way up into Virginia. I'm talking about dew points well into the 60s ahead of this cold front, a lot of moist air to deal with, and you're probably going to have some kind of mid to low level jet shooting across this area, creating potentially a lot of severe weather either Wednesday or Thursday across the southeast. So if you're in the southeast, I really think you got to watch mid, potentially late week for severe weather for sure. Next thing we'll look at, sorry my voice is cracking a little bit. My throat's been really sore. I think the allergies with the pollen is starting to get to me a little bit. But let's keep rolling. And I'm not going to keep you guys much longer. My throat's screaming at me right now. But here we go. Getting into Monday, midday. And then Monday evening, Monday afternoon. Look at these cape levels building in Texas. In response to these dew points rising in, the buoyancy occurring here, you have cape levels reaching 1,500, 2,000 joules per kilogram well into central Texas. So you're going to have a lot of energy to work with. But that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have a severe weather outbreak. Remember, you need all the dynamics to come together and meet in the middle somehow. And how do they do so? And I'll show you the wind energy here in a second. But, you know, you're getting into Tuesday now, and this cape starts to shift a little further east. And then it shows some nasty cape levels for Tuesday afternoon for Louisiana, Mississippi. I mean, this is some of the highest capes showing up so far this severe weather season. You got, you know, surface cape, and it's not always the best thing to look at, but it's the only thing that shows on Weather Bell right here. So I'm just showing you in general what it looks like. As we get a little closer, we can get a little bit deeper into mixed layer cape, surface base cape, and things like that, because there's differences everywhere. Just, you know, obviously depends on where the atmosphere. There's different cape and different levels, if that makes any sense. But this is a atmosphere you need to watch out for. I really think you need to watch Tuesday across Mississippi and Alabama, places like that. And let's look at the southeast in general now, moving forward here. Excuse me. And so watch as this keeps moving here. We're getting into Tuesday afternoon. Look at this cape levels down here. It's going to be interesting how much this atmosphere is able to destabilize right here with the morning showers and storms for your Tuesday. Because if it is, guys, this atmosphere is going to erupt with some nasty storms. I'm not calling it an outbreak. I'm saying there's potential here. There really is for some nasty storms. Moving forward here, we're getting into Wednesday. Cape really spikes here Wednesday, and it's even more for your Wednesday. I mean, look at these cape levels down here in the deep south and areas of Georgia reaching over 3,000 joules per kilogram. I mean, what really worries me is you only need about 500, 1,000, maybe 1,200 joules per kilogram if you have a, 40, 50, 60 knot low-level jet. Dew points that are obviously going to be high in response to the cape and vice versa. You're going to need to worry about some severe weather. So, the reason there's still some questions, a lot of questions on the Storm Prediction Center discussion is because the placement of the low pressure, how much of a fetch of moisture are you going to get out the Gulf? But this looks dangerous. Something we need to watch as we're getting into Wednesday. A lot of cape around. And even into Thursday, there's still cape around the coast. So there's still energy left. So maybe a 4-day event, guys. So For real, we need to watch out for this. It's going to be interesting over the weekend to see how this evolves, but it's deja vu for the third time in a row, and it's just wild to see. You look at this low-level jet and what's going on here, and you look for the the Monday threat. You got about 40 knots of shear right here, low-level jet pumping at about 30, 40 knots, mixed in with this cape that I just showed you for Texas and eastern Texas and areas of Louisiana. And then those dew points obviously well into the 60s, close to 70. So all hazards on the table here, but you don't have a ton of wind energy to deal with. It's not like you have a low-level jet ahead pushing 60, 70 knots or anything like that. But a little bit different from last week. You're going to have a lot more energy to work with. Then we get into your Tuesday. You have a pretty stout low-level jet, but it's displaced a little bit from all that cape that's showing up right into here Wednesday. So you do have a low-level jet. You have some wind energy here, but a lot of it's displaced to the east where you don't have as favorable thermodynamics in place yet. But you keep this going into Wednesday, and then that's when this deep layer, this deep upper trough starts to dig in. And then look at this low-level jet ramping up, the wind energy ramping up over the southeast with that, right there. That's probably a 30, 40 knot low-level jet over Georgia and the Carolinas, with that cape building especially further to the southwest in Georgia and Alabama. So could be a dangerous week ahead. To compare it to the last 2 weeks, it's very hard to do. But this is going to be the main topic over the next few days. So stay tuned. Hope you guys have a great start to your weekend. God bless everybody, and I'll talk to y'all tomorrow.